No, gang. It's not that they better get their season tickets now because before long there won't be any left. But Luke Fickell's comments yesterday after the reported transfer portal exits of a few prominent players. Now, this is a grown-ass man's game, and the Big Ten is a grown-ass man's league, is going to be his version of that, to the extent there's going to be one. And before I get started today, please like and subscribe. I hate to have to always ask you for this, but YouTube is a fickle mistress and loves it when its subjects grovel. So here I am. Anyway, getting back to Fickell. There's a lot of things you can say about Luke Fickell, and I think many of them are not great since he's come to Wisconsin. Other things have been good, like recruiting. But one thing I think most people who are being real with themselves can agree to and agree on is that there has not been a bedrock culture that's evident. I know there's a culture inside the room. I'm not saying there's not been attempts, there's not discipline, there's not expectations. I know that's all there. But when you've watched Wisconsin the last couple of seasons, what are they? What do they do well? What is the thing you can say? Wisconsin football is fill in the blank here. I don't know about you, but I haven't seen anything that's been consistent. Some of that is an element of a new coach and a new program. I have some grace for Fickell there, but the reality is I'm not sure that they knew. You have players that came from an old culture. You got recruits in the new culture. You have a substantial number of transfer portal kids who've come in from a substantial number of cultures, and the mix has not been great. So I think starting with the hire of Jeff Grimes, the hard-nosed new offensive coordinator, who is unquestionably getting us back to this, it's not smash mouth, but it is a running focused offense that values toughness to a degree that you might chase off what some say is elite transfer tight end right out of Madison because there's too much hitting going on in practice. And to that I say, huzzah and hallelujah. You heard me correct. I have been a relatively big Fickell supporter, even as recently as a couple weeks ago. I'm not a Fickell hater. I mean, anyone go on the Twitter and you can see that I've been supportive. But there was something missing. And maybe we found it by looking to the past. Now, I am not going to present for you the old, just be tough, 3 yards in a cloud of dust, Badgers, that so many people have been clinging to on the message boards. That isn't me. I want to be very clear about that. But what is me is admitting the need for a culture. And if that culture in 2025 borrows a little bit from the culture that Alvarez had, and Bielema had, and Anderson kind of had, and Paul Chryst had for large stretches before things started to fall apart after COVID for a number of reasons, I'm okay with it, guys. You're going to want modern wrinkles. You're going to need modern wrinkles. You're going to need to value athleticism and strength and power and embrace some of the things that make modern football what modern football is. But what I am seeing and what I'm hearing from camp in this spring, there's just a different vibe, guys. It's popping again. It's hard hitting. It's tough. It's hard nosed. And no, that is not going to be for everyone. And this is not, I'm not sending people out to attack Mark Hamper and Tanner Koziel. I wish those kids the best in the future. I hope they find a fit. And it might be a softer fit. It might be a kinder and gentler fit. That's right for them. I want them to be happy. But it is pretty clear what is happening here. There's a certain. It doesn't mean that every kid who transfers is not tough, because there are going to be kids who just simply find themselves, I believe, like Quincy Burrows, for example, too far down on the depth chart to get the targets and the play they want. And my God, go get it, man. Go do what you got to do. No problem. But I think now Luke Fickell has conveyed, I'm sure he's done this privately, but is now public, that there's a certain standard, and there are twinges and themes of the Wisconsin way. And that's okay. That's good. I'm here to tell you that finding an identity, even if that identity is derivative of something that has worked in the past, is a positive step for Luke Fickell. And I am on board with this. Do we know how it's going to go with, as many say, the third, fourth, or fifth toughest schedule in college football in 2025, a gauntlet, a hellish slate? We don't know how that's going to go from a wins and losses perspective. But what will be obvious is, how does the team look and how does the team fight? That's a huge deal. So I'm not nearly as much into wins and losses benchmarks for it. It needs to be X number of wins here for it to be a successful season. There are certain levels of wins where you can indisputably say it's been a successful season, but there's going to be some games where Wisconsin goes in, fights hard, and loses. How do they look? It's going to be the eye test. The eye test. Against Iowa, Illinois, Minnesota, hard-hitting, tough-nosed teams. Do they go in and put a fight up, or do they roll over like they did in 2024? They rolled over against teams like that. Nebraska is another one. They rolled over, guys. I don't think this team's going to roll over this fall. I don't know how many wins they're going to get, but I do not think they are going to roll over. I think we have an identity, guys, an identity forming and forging inside 1440 Monroe Street. And there are a lot of variables and a lot of ways and a lot of outcomes. It's a choose your own adventure book in some sense. We do not know how this is going to turn out. Maybe there's more injuries. I mean, for God's sake, losing your rising potential superstar left tackle is as cruel as it gets outside of losing your quarterback. Brutal stuff. Now, what do we do? How do we rally? That's going to be the test. How do we look? Last year, interestingly, teams like, for example, the Penn State game or the Oregon game, we can quibble about how those games should have been won or could have been won in the second half. But, the team fought hard. I feel like it's taking those types of games and applying that to all 12 games of the season, hopefully 13. Probably not, but hopefully. And guys, I it could just be lip service, but I just had a sense from what I saw from Luke Fickell yesterday in that press conference, and he handled it well. It's embarrassing to lose your top portal guy. It's embarrassing. He kept a stiff upper lip and said, "We move on." And you don't want to be on this bus, then get the F off. We don't want soft people here. We don't want them. Put on your big boy pants and be a Wisconsin Badger. That is the message. And that is the message that I'm sure has trickled down well into that locker room. And it's a message that I hope they take to heart and take into those games, starting with fall camp and heading right into the schedule. But I don't know. Guys, the proof is in the pudding, and there's a lot to prove. But I feel better about the Wisconsin football program today than I did a couple days ago. I like the cut of its jib, what it's trying to do. Now let's see if we can continue that in the real world. Scary Alvarez is out.